I don't really have a whole lot of time to wait, as it's Sunday night. It's getting late. It's not super late, but it's getting there. Um, so this is going to be a quick one. But something that has been brought to my attention is just the struggles with life and things in general. There's no wrong or right way to go about it. It's about how you cope or how you deal with things. Of course, you try to be as transparent with yourself and people. If you're an honest man or a woman or whatever you are, um, like me, with my character, I try to do things in a way where not necessarily to satisfy other people, but because you are the most important person. It's not a selfish thing. And here's the thing about that. It's okay to be selfish in the right way, if that makes sense. There's like a positive selfish and there's like a negative selfish. The negative selfish is like ignorance, is like not considering other people's feelings or ever putting yourself in other people's shoes and only firing from the hip basically, and having a preloaded answer before they even finished talking to you about something. So that is like an ignorant form. But of course, there's a level of selfishness where you got to go far in life. So you got to do what you've got to do to elevate yourself and bring yourself to that place where you can succeed or make whatever dream happen or do whatever you got to do to get whatever it is that you need to get done. So my whole thing about talking about this is just like dealing with the different layers. It almost feels like you're navigating through a maze sometimes, you know what I mean? Like you're bumping into this wall, you're bumping into that wall, and you're trying to figure it out as you go along. And I don't think enough people kind of bring that to light. They just kind of give you advice on what you should do, but it's not a one size fits all. Like, there's no one type of advice you can give somebody that's going to work for that person. Like personalities, advice works for certain people and it doesn't work for others. It's like having, it's like having your favorite flavor, right? Some people like chocolate, some people like vanilla, other people like strawberry. Hello, how are you? But there's layers and stuff. And something that's been brought to my attention with this, and the whole reason why I'm bringing this up, is because if you follow my channel, you know that I like acting. I'm not a professional, I'm an amateur actor, but I do have like independent movies that I'm working on, that I'm in, side stuff that I've done, whatever, and I'm continuing that career as I make content and do other things. And I believe in doing other things because I kind of like doing that. But that's kind of like a different avenue. But acting is kind of like, you can kind of apply it to like everyday life and dealing with things. Like, actors often put themselves in uncomfortable positions, and you may end up in uncomfortable positions. Life is full of taking chances. If you're living, life is full of taking risks and doing what you got to do to make things happen. Thank you, I appreciate that. And with that being said, you gotta take yourself out of your comfort zone, right? If you really want to grow, or you want to learn discipline, or you want to elevate yourself, you can't stay in the same spot. Like, you can't, I don't mean that like, I mean that figuratively. Like, if you want to keep the train moving and you want to progress, you want to learn, you got to open yourself up, for one. you got to be open-minded, but also you got to not back down when the tough gets going. Like, just because you fall and scrape your knee doesn't mean you got to go inside and get a Band-Aid. Like, pick up the pieces of whatever it is. Sometimes you're breaking inside and you feel like you're crumbling. And I'm not saying that don't take a day or for your mental health, or don't take a nap, or whatever it is you need to do to rejuvenate yourself. But push through those kinks, work those kinks out, because once you get to the other side, it's a lot better. And your version of being on the other side may be different from my version. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go from A to Z, right? It's about the process as well. The process is just as important as the outcome. And so, I mean, that's really what sparked this whole conversation. I was just watching different actors and a specific actor talk about having to dive into certain roles and kind of put themselves in, you know, in their perspective, or that character's perspective, and you know, get lost in that role or whatever, or whatever they had to do, indulge in that role to be authentic and to sound, to look, to act authentic. And although acting may be a lot different from a lot of people's lives if they've never done it, it's a thing where you can take on so much or very little depending on the role. And I'm just, you know, it's just one of those things, you know, it kind of dawned on me when I'm hearing this guy talk about having to wear this, or maybe he was, you know, claustrophobic? Yeah, claustrophobic. Having to wear something and get over that in the moments passing, like getting used to it as he's shooting, or having to connect with a character that's complex and having to think a certain way, or just embody a character a certain way. And I'm just like, man, that's really kind of a lot like life, because you're thrown into different situations. The only difference is when you're acting and you're in a movie or whatever, you're acting, you know, it's pretend, you're playing the part. So the real life stuff is, you know, that's real life. You can't run away from it. It's like when you're dealing with stuff, it's the best way is just to deal with it. You know what I mean? Just to lay in it or whatever you got to do. There's nothing wrong with coping, or even inventing your own coping skill, whatever gets you through. But it's always going to be better, basically, or what I'm getting to. It's always going to be better to fight through it than to lie down and die. Figuratively. Just, yeah, you know, you just got to keep trucking, as cliche as that sounds. It really helps, you know. It really will benefit you in the long run. You'll learn, you'll adapt, you'll feel better about yourself. And there's so many natural elements of life that happen that you learn, and it just comes to you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, like that makes sense, or like, or you know how like sometimes, or at least you've been in that position, most of us have, where something happens maybe 9 months down the road, you know, like something happens, and then 9 months later down the road, you look back at it, or whatever position you were in at that point in time, and you think, wow, like it just dawned on me, because I'd forgotten about it, how much I've overcome, and I've changed. And it just like, the contrast is so different. You're just like, man, I was at this low, very low point, and now I'm all the way up here. And it's almost like unfathomable that you were in that position because your life has drastically changed in the 6 or 9 months, which that was not intended, 69. Um, but you get what I'm saying. Like, it's just something that I kind of connected the dots on. I was like, you know what? Acting is a lot like just everyday life and having to deal with different roles because different things come at you and you got to bend and you got to kind of like fit into that suit, if you will. No 6-7. No, I don't care. No, but yeah, but that's what I wanted to talk about, and it applies to everybody. It's not because I saw this acting bit or I saw this actor talking about playing different roles and what he had to do to get ready for different roles. Because at the end of the day, we all go through things and we all have to like adapt and figure it out or navigate it, or sometimes it's as simple as being productive in the right way and being positive and being busy in a productive manner or in a positive manner. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. But take care of yourselves. I'm gonna get off of here. I wanted to hop on because, as you know, sound like a broken record at this point. I've been going live every single day or night, sometimes multiple times a day or night. So that's why I wanted to jump on here. But are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm not great, but that's just life. It's a roller coaster. It's up and down. Sometimes you're really down, sometimes you're really up, or gambling. I guess you could associate it with that as well. It's the same thing. But I'm not bad. Well, to be honest, these lights aren't the greatest, and I'm tired. I've been working nonstop. I've worked all through the week, I've worked all through the weekend, and I've had to do things on top of that, like live my own personal life outside of creating content or work. So I'm tired. So I will say that. And it's Sunday, you know what I mean? So everything's kind of like catching up to me now. But yeah, I'm gonna call this one and make it an early night because every single night I've been getting inside 11, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm pretty spent. So yeah, I'm gonna get off of here. But it was important for me to talk about this because, well, if this can help anybody, if they are going through a rough time, and I'm able to help anybody, then my job is done. That's how I succeeded. I don't know. Maybe another time I'll talk about success and not to school anybody on that and say what's successful, but talk about maybe like what your meaning of success is and what I think success is and my opinions on it, if you guys care to hear that. But yeah, just something I want to leave you guys with tonight. I know the world now has changed so much, and it seems that people have changed so much. That doesn't mean you have to change or you have to be a certain way because some people are blunt or selfish in a negative way. People are unpredictable and we don't know everybody, and it can be easy to trust certain people. And I'm not going to leave you with anything and say that you shouldn't trust people. I think there's a lot of good people out there. In fact, I kind of want to say the opposite. I want to say that regardless of what's going on around you, if it's something negative, let's just say something negative is going on. Maybe you're seeing a lot of negative attitudes, and you're seeing people treat people negatively. I want to say to you that regardless of all that, take care of each other, look after each other. Um, Good character goes a long way, and yeah, it's kind of a one of a kind. It's a rarity now. It's a rarity to have a good heart, evidently, or at least it seems like it. Or it also seems like it's masked a lot of times because there's a lot of negative things that happen, and a lot of negative, just a lot of negativity that can drown that out. And but you fix it by me watching you. But as much as there is negative, it can be hard to curve that, because you see certain things online. You hear people talk about certain things maybe, or have an opinion about certain things. But I'm here to remind you and refresh you, if I can, and say that as much as there is negativity, there's way more positivity. And it's all about how you look at it. It's all about your opinion. Like, it's all about your perspectives. And we're able to shape our world. We may not, have same views as other people or those people, but we can control how we feel, and how we think. I mean, I'm not bad. I'm not great, but I'm there's kind of a laundry list of things that I'm going through. I wouldn't say it's just like, not to get deep into me, but just financial stuff. But it is what it is, you know what I mean? But yeah, I wanted to say that. I wanted to leave that to you guys and just remind you that there is positivity out there. You can make anything positive, and yeah, be kind to other people. Look after each other. Look after your friends, and don't feed into negativity. All right. Good night, guys.